Hello, entrepreneurs. Joe DeChara coming to you live from downtown Flushing, New York, once again with another amazing version of how to win at business. And yes, you see, this is true. We have the 5-day challenge coming up on Monday, and me and my team have been working around the clock. Actually, they've been working around the clock. I've been doing Facebook Lives and doing some tax returns. So I just want to mention, if you're watching live, give me a hashtag live. And if you're watching the replay, give me a hashtag replay because it makes me feel good and it helps our ratings. That's what they tell me. Because I don't really know too much about social media, to be honest with you. I'm a CPA. If you don't know who I am, what I am good at is being a CPA, doing tax returns, doing bookkeeping, solving tax problems. That's something that I'm good at. But if you want to know about how Facebook works, or Twitter or LinkedIn, talk to my friend Haley Gray. and that's part of my story, folks, and I'm sticking with that. Tonight, what I want to talk about is not only the 5-day challenge. This is going to be one of the topics throughout the whole event where we're going to be talking about really horrible things like tax audits and books and records. And if you've ever gotten audited, if you have ever had to suffer through a tax audit, you know what I'm talking about because you got one of those letters, one of those IRS letters that when clients call me, it doesn't matter who it's from. If it looks like it has to do with taxes, it's from the IRS. So if you've ever gotten one of those letters and you know what books and records are, because right in the first paragraph, it's going to tell you, we command you, laying aside all other business matters, to bring down your books and records. That's it. We command you to bring down your books and records. Now, I know what books and records are, but I can't even imagine what it must be like for somebody that's been in business. Hopefully they've heard the term books and records, but the fear and anxiety that must go through their minds. Obviously, the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to call their accountant if they have an accountant. If they have an accountant, because one of the things I've learned is that there's tens of millions of business owners. I'm not even going to say taxpayers, people that own businesses that don't have an accountant. And I'm just wondering, like, what do they think when they get that letter and says, but like, what do you go and Google it? Let me try that. I'm going to Google books and records. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to post this link here, I think. Well, I'm going to actually just post the whole search. I think that I can do that in the comments here. And I hope that I didn't break one of Facebook's rules by putting a Google link in there. I can't keep track of the rules. That's why I got Haley Gray. We don't want to wind up in Facebook jail. But the question is, what are books and records, and why are they important, and why would somebody want to see them, especially the IRS? So, what we're going to be talking about, one of the things we're going to be talking about in the 5-day challenge is, the fact that people get audited, okay? And how do you not get audited? That's the first goal, to not get audited. And here's a little tidbit, because the first, simplest, easiest, least expensive way to avoid a tax audit is to do business as an S corp. So, if you think that you want to be an LLC, I could have just saved you a lot of pain and misery, because LLCs are not corporations, obviously, and they don't give you any kind of protection on the tax spectrum. LLCs are a legal strategy. Okay. LLCs are used for mostly legal purposes, but we'll get into that in the challenge. But the other thing that we're going to talk about are what actually is a business, because there are millions and millions of people out there that are in business and don't even realize it. I call them the accidental entrepreneurs. They're the Uber drivers. Anybody that receives a 1099 NEC is a business owner. Okay? They are small business owners. And when you're a small business owner, you automatically come under the jurisdiction of a bunch of federal, state, and local authorities. So the biggest one that you know of is the IRS. So let's just start with that. Because it's not just the IRS that has jurisdiction over your books and records. It's all of the government agencies where you live, where you're doing business, which is another thing we're going to cover in the 5-day challenge. Where should you be registered, and where should you be doing business? And I just gave you the answer. It's wherever you're sitting. That's where you're registered. That's the state that has jurisdiction over you. So you surrender, you have to, because once you are in business, that's it. There are laws to, let's say, monetize you. Because you're not going to just be in business and not pay taxes, or at least be registered. Okay, and that's one of the reasons why they came out with the 1099 NEC. So let's go back to the question of what books and records are. Because there's a publication which you will get if you register for the 5-day challenge, free of charge. Publication 583, Starting a Business and Keeping Records. Okay, that's like just get that. If you know that in and out, you know something, but you still don't know the whole story because the whole story isn't in any IRS publication about what books and records actually are. Because, and I will prove this to you, I will show you in publication 583, where they describe what books and records are, they actually say that we don't have any real prescribed form for what your books and records are. They give you some guidelines. What they tell you is that your books and records need to match your tax return. But what are books and records? In a nutshell, your books and records tell the documented story of your business. And if it's all over the place, if you're not organized with your books and records, you're at a great, great disadvantage. And it's not only because of the compliance part of this. Yeah, you need to have books and records to document what's on your tax return. That's a law. It's not optional. The question of what books and records are is the question. Because if somebody's asking you to produce them, they should be able to identify what books and records are. But it's like, it's a paradox if you go through the IRS or any other government instructions on, they'll tell you these are the types of records that you can keep. These are the types of records you can keep. There are some records that you must keep, like your articles of incorporation, and that has more to do with the state level than with the IRS. But your articles of incorporation, your tax ID number, any document that shows the existence of your business and that it's doing business. Now, books and records does not mean that you have to save every receipt either. Because here's another little tidbit I'll give you during the 5-day challenge. You do not have to keep receipts, paper documents of anything under $75. It's called the de minimis rule because the IRS doesn't even want to be bothered with it. And that rule came from an entertainer called George M. Cohan, who got audited and didn't have books and records. So George M. Cohan he was an entertainer. He traveled all over the country doing shows. He didn't keep any receipts. He didn't know that he had to. I mean, this was a long, long time ago. And he got audited, and the IRS said that he wasn't entitled to any deductions. I have no idea how they even filed his tax return if he had nothing. But that's another thing about the misconception about filing a return, because you can file a return using estimates, and most people don't know that. So if you have no books and records, you still got to file a tax return and hope that you don't get audited. But the real reason that you need books and records that successful entrepreneurs know is that without books and records, you can't scale a business. If you don't have the procedures and the documentation to the checks and balances, there is no way that you're going to scale that business. And if you do, it's going to be sloppy. It's going to be sloppy. So your books and records, if you want to know what they are, they can be anything that documents how you came up with the numbers that are on your tax return. Now, with Bedrock Business Builders, we've built a system where everything is pretty much seamless and your books and records are being created. Your general ledger, your profit and loss statement, your balance sheet, those things that we use to do your tax return are all part of your books and records. Your QuickBooks file is not part of your books and records. Your QuickBooks file helps produce your books and records. And that's all software is. So that's my story. I don't see any comments or up there. I guess there's a bunch of crickets out there tonight, but that's okay, because we record these and we put them up on YouTube so they last. I don't know how long stuff on the internet lasts, but it's going to last. And what books and records are, here's the great thing. They've always been the same, and they'll never change. So if you're watching this video, 100 years from now, and the IRS is still in business, they're still going to be looking for people's books and records. Now, when I started, back in the 80s, books and records were actually paper documents. So maybe 100 years from now, books and records, they'll all be digital. So, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. I've had a lot of fun tonight. I can't wait for the challenge. Join. We do have a link up here. And if you have any questions, PM me, comment in the thread here. Over and out. God bless. I will talk to you soon.